This webinar on New Oxford Modern English 3rd edition is brought to you by the Professional Development Team at Oxford University Press, Pakistan. The objectives of this session are to understand the course components and the dynamics of teaching with New Oxford Modern English. New Oxford Modern English is an ELT course that provides a clear structured progression from pre-nursery all the way to class 8. It is aligned with the Pakistan National Curriculum. There are student books starting at pre-nursery level with pre-primer all the way to class 8. There are accompanying workbooks starting at KG level with the primer B workbook all the way to class 8. In the contents, there is a comprehension section which comprises of factual, inferential, and explorative questions. Comprehension goes beyond reading the text on the page. It involves finding meaning in the text and being able to summarize, reiterate, and apply what has been read. Working with words offers a wide range of activities covering contextual words and also incorporates extension. Grammar provides the rules for common use of both spoken and written language so that the students are able to understand each other. Learning about language includes explanation and practice on grammar, syntax, structures, punctuation, and idiomatic usage of language. This helps the students build on their verbal and written communication skills. Listening and speaking encourages careful listening, correct pronunciation, use of particular structures and functional vocabulary, as well as meaningful expression. So these tasks help students develop confidence, also choose the right words to express their thoughts, and talk about their feelings and viewpoints. The composition section, along with guidance and support, helps to develop functional and creative writing skills in students. The students are stimulated to use their imagination and creativity, improve self-expression, and it also strengthens their self-confidence. Let's take a look at the key features. There are projects, 2 projects at each level, with meaningful linkages across other subject areas like maths, science, social studies, etc. These encourage group work and are designed to meet the learning needs of children. New Oxford Modern English follows a spiraling approach where language is taught through a sequential arrangement of themes and topics, providing a spiral of cumulative learning. So the concept is reinforced and solidified each time the student revisits it. Textbooks 1 to 8 include a poster covering a different literary device for each class, like alliterations, similes, metaphors, etc. Reading texts in New Oxford Modern English include different text types by renowned authors like Ruskin Bond, Roald Dahl, Rudyard Kipling, O. Henry Saki, Charles Dickens, P.G. Wodehouse. English in New Oxford Modern English is integrated with other subjects across the curriculum through texts and tasks. So the knowledge of the language becomes means of learning content. Life skills such as communication, critical thinking, sharing, caring, self-awareness, concern for others are taught through texts and tasks in an integrated and infused way. There are while reading boxes that direct the learners to interact with the text in a meaningful way and also to monitor comprehension. The activity boxes cater to multiple intelligences and engage learners and provides them an opportunity to apply the knowledge. The challenge boxes cater to differentiated learning, and they are there to challenge advanced learners and focus on developing higher order thinking skills in students. The top tip boxes reinforce and clarify concepts. Textbooks 1 and 2 begin with graphic stories. These hold the students' interest and they are there to encourage struggling readers. The competencies mentioned in the English National Curriculum are reading and thinking, writing, oral communication, formal and lexical aspect, ethical and social development. We will be talking about them one by one. The oral communication skills standard states that all students will use appropriate social and academic conventions of spoken discourse for effective oral communication with individuals and in groups in both informal and formal settings. So the exercises given in the listening and speaking section direct the students to listen to the text and comprehend, pronounce words correctly, use structures and functional vocabulary in context, and develop speaking skills through discussion and debating activities. This is an example from the book where the students have to work with a classmate and take turns to ask questions and give answers about the following items given at the bottom. They have to follow the pattern given. For example, one student asks the other, "What is a glass used for?" And he or she replies, "It is used for drinking," or "It is used to drink with." Here is another example from the book where students have to work in groups of 3, read the following outline of a story, and then write a short dialogue for each scene. They have to then act out the scenes in groups. Here is another example where the students have to make a short presentation on the topics given in the box below. They have to think and write about what it is like to live in a city by the sea near an airport, and then make a presentation of 5 minutes where each student or each member of the group will say something different on the chosen topic and not repeat points already made by a member of the group. So the instructions are also given to the students about what they have to do when they make a short presentation on any given topic. Vocabulary development in New Oxford Modern English is emphasized with the help of songs, language teaching games, and group activities. Here, the students have to make as many words as possible from the given boxes. This can be turned into a mini competition in class where the students are given 2 minutes and they have to make as many words as possible from the given 2 boxes. The group that makes the maximum number of words then wins the competition. These kind of vocabulary building activities support reading development, and they also increase comprehension of the students. This is a scan page from the teaching guide where there's an activity and the teacher plays Simon Says with the students using verbs, prepositions, and nouns given in the boxes. These type of games can encourage, entertain, teach, and promote fluency and communicative skills in students. Reading and thinking. Reading is the key to learning. The competency standards mentioned in the national curriculum state that all students will search for, discover, and understand a variety of text types through tasks which require multiple reading and thinking strategies for comprehension, fluency, and enjoyment. And all students will read and analyze literary texts to seek information, ideas, enjoyment, and to relate their own experiences to those of common humanity as depicted in literature. This was a question posed to a student of year 10. She was asked, "What is good reading?" And she replied, "It is decoding words quickly, processing what you're reading, and then moving at a reasonable speed through the material." Some of the strategies that you can use for developing comprehension skills in students are predicting, where students make guesses about what happens in the text based on the illustration or on the title of the text. Then they make connections, and they should be able to link previous knowledge, be able to link ideas throughout and across texts. We can ask the students to make mental images or draw pictures to bring the text to life. This will surely enhance their comprehension of the text. We can ask the students to summarize the main points of the text in the order that they occurred. The students can be asked to monitor the text by stopping, thinking about what is happening, and checking the text and working out the meaning of words. The students can ask or look for more information to clarify meaning through the questioning technique. The reading text genres in New Oxford Modern English are fables, original stories, letters and diaries, instructions and recipes, classical literature, modern literature, advertisements, travel brochures. Through the use of these varied texts, all students have the opportunity to learn new information and make meaningful contributions to discussions. Moreover, varied texts provide multiple perspectives that help students rethink events and issues that impact everyone and also deepen their knowledge of literary genres. The standard for writing skills states that all students will produce with developing fluency and accuracy academic, transactional, and creative writing, which is focused, purposeful, and shows an insight into the writing process. There are a variety of exercises in the composition section of the book that develop functional and creative writing skills in students. The writing tasks are theme and genre-based. The students are provided opportunity to use the new words learned in the vocabulary section, and the excerpts provide a model for these tasks. The writing exercises are narrations and accounts, dialogues, play scripts and conversations, descriptions and articles, persuasive and argumentative writings, instructions, processes, logs, and diaries. This is an example of a travel brochure taken from the book, where the students are given a sample travel brochure to examine, to go through. The location of Kaghan Valley is mentioned in it. The famous lake Saif al-Muluk is also mentioned in it. There is a brief history of the place given and the best time to visit it with contact details mentioned at the bottom of it. The students are then tasked to make a travel brochure by choosing a region in Pakistan. They are asked to talk about the special places there, give interesting facts and other features that would attract visitors to it. They're asked to write in a way that will persuade people to visit it. They're tempted to visit it, and they can also use bullet points to create fact files or key information about the region. They can also include information about the best time of the year to visit it. So these instructions provide, an outline to the students for making a travel brochure. Here's another example where the students have to write a diary entry about their visit to a certain place. They have to include some vivid descriptions in it and details from the text, and write entries for between 3 and 5 days. Here's another example where a story is given and the students have to predict the ending of the story in groups. Now, these kind of creative writing tasks help students express themselves and their own ideas, and it can be very stimulating and a lot of fun. Let's take a look at the formal and lexical aspects of language standard mentioned in the national curriculum, which states that all students will understand grammatical functions and use the principles of grammar, punctuation, and syntax for developing accuracy in their spoken and written communication. So learning about language through texts and tasks places emphasis on the more formal areas of language study: grammar, syntax, structure, punctuation, and figurative language. Here is an example of a real-life application of grammar taken from the workbook, where the students are given a case study about Mr. Osman's house. He's having a house built and he's given a schedule by the building contractor. The students have to study the building contractor's work schedule and then answer the questions using future perfect tense. So they learn the real-life application of grammar through this case study here. Let's move on to figures of speech and take a look at this example from the book, where the students are given phrases like as good as gold, as proud as a peacock, as dry as the bone, as green as grass. And the students have to choose one of the phrases and use the idea in it to write a short paragraph about something. They can also draw a picture. Here's another scan from the book where the students have to match the following well-known idioms in column A with their meanings in B. And there is another exercise where all the similes are written incorrectly and the students have to rewrite them using the words given in the box below. The National Curriculum of English and Assessment says that we need to prepare students for an assessment of their acquisition and use of language skills rather than memorization of the textbook contents. Discouraging rote learning will enable students to approach different texts independently. Skill-based assessment using unseen text and material is therefore recommended for testing students' ability to use language in spoken and written communication. So, if we take a look at the formative and summative assessment, we see that formative assessment occurs before or during instruction. It guides the teachers in planning and improving instruction, and it also helps the students improve their learning. And if we look at summative assessment, it occurs at the end of instruction, and it lets the teachers and students know the level of accomplishment attained. Let's take a look at the link between objectives and assessments. So, as the figure here depicts, the instructional activities, assessments, and learning objectives are closely linked. So if, say, for example, the student does not perform well in an assessment, then the teacher can go back and change the instructional activity if she feels that that is the reason for their failure or their poor performance at the assessment, or she can go ahead and change the learning objectives. Similarly, if the instructional activities do not work out, she can go back and change the learning objectives. There are a variety of formative assessment tasks provided at the end of each unit in the student books. And to aid summative assessment based on the content of the student book and the workbooks carry 3 tests for quick recall and revision, one for each of the 3 school terms. Let me show you examples of formative assessment given in the book. There are questions, and these questions are of different types, from very basic to the ones that will develop higher order thinking skills in students. Then there are match the column exercises, riddles, paragraph writing, crossword puzzles. There is a variety of formative assessment tasks given in the books to help the students in their learning. Let's take a look at the summative assessment given in the workbook. These summative assessments follow the pattern given in the book. So there is unseen comprehension, then followed by questions. Then there's a textbook quiz, working with words, learning about language, and then a composition section to assess their creative writing skills. Let's move on to ethical and social development. The standard mentioned in the national curriculum states that all students will develop ethical and social attributes and values relevant in a multicultural, civilized society. As we talked about these themes before, moral and ethical themes covered in the book include family, home, friends, adventure and imagination, science and technology, health and hygiene, animals and plants, our country, community, neighbors and community, the world around us. This is an example of a text from the book, which is an adaptation of an old story. The story of the grandfather and the wooden bowl is at least a couple of centuries old. This story is about the elderly and how we treat them. It is about doing to others what they might do to us. It is about young children seeing things from a wise point of view and making profound statements. It is also perhaps a story which tells us that we should value humans and human relationships more than we value material things such as a bowl. For the teacher support, there are teaching guides for each level, and these are available in printed form. They can also be downloaded from the OUP website, which is www.oup.com.pk. Here is a scanned cover page of the teaching guide, and a detailed introduction guides teachers on the usage of the series components. In each unit, there are detailed suggestions and answers provided for each of the teaching activities in the textbooks as well as workbooks. Let's take a look at them. Here's a scanned page from the teaching guide, where the suggestion and answers are given for the comprehension section of the book. Then, for working with words, for learning about language, suggestion and answers for listening and speaking tasks, for the composition section, and then for the workbook pages. Sample lesson plans are provided at the end of each unit. Now, as you can see here, this is a scanned page from the teaching guide showing you a 40-minute, showing you a lesson plan for a 40-minute period, and the aims are mentioned there, and the tasks are divided according to the time needed. And we hope that you will take time to go through the teaching guides in detail. They will explain why things are done in a particular way and how best to use the core materials. The teaching guides contain detailed notes and information about each page of the textbook and workbook, suggestions for various activities in class, lists of structures and vocabulary, and much more. Thank you for joining me today.